U.S. is failing to meet the ends of those receiving special education in attempts by Congress to solve the problem until 2010. Many voices over the last decade have called for reform in special education in American public schools. The system not only is failing to meet the needs of many children with disabilities, but in some cases is actively inflicting harm on them. Although Congress has attempted with varying success to address such concerns, each time it has amended the IDEA. At least some continue to believe that the current delivery model cannot effectively meet the high, diverse, and at times intense instructional needs that are presented across today's K-12 population. The federal government's failure to fully fund the mandates of the IDEA has left many schools grappling with the difficult task of trying to improve and individualize instructions in a time of tight educational spending generally. And the students with disabilities aren't well served by public schools now, RIM, Sutter, in calendar 2017. According to the key metrics, the nation's schools are making gains in terms of students accessing the general education curriculum. However, there remains much more room for improvement. Public schools, both traditional and charter, are struggling to constantly provide high-quality education to students with disabilities, as evidenced by special education students' relatively low graduation rates and limited post-graduation opportunities, as well as the persistent achievement gap between general and special education students. And the disproportionate share of students with disabilities in juvenile detention facilities. Recent data released by the U.S. Department of Education regarding states' implementation of IDEA documented that fewer than half of the states nationwide are meeting federal performance targets for special education. Next page. Thus, the plan, the United States federal government should develop a school voucher program for students with disabilities. Contention to sovereignty. Lots of research shows that vouchers improve education outcomes for students with disabilities. In Winters 2008, we have found some evidence exposure to a voucher program for disabled students improves the education provided to those students. These findings are consistent with most of the previous research, which indicates a positive effect on public school achievement from school choice policies. The result here to help inform a large policy debate about the implementation of voucher programs for disabled students. Public schools will provide a better education for disabled students if they face greater exposure to these programs. Next page. And the competitive effects of school vouchers are positive. Studies in Ohio and Louisiana prove ignoring these studies is a teacher union propaganda. Churchill, 2017. Skeptics, however, make a more serious error when they omit the of school choice. This piece of research puzzle examines whether the introduction of vouchers leads to higher outcomes for pupils remaining in the public schools. Stiffer competition should nudge improvements in district board schools, which traditionally enjoy monopolies over the delivery of K-12 education in Ohio. The findings were positive. The introduction of voucher competition modestly improved the outcomes of students who remain in their public schools. Louisiana. Similar results. It's hardly surprising to see anti-voucher and often pro-union pundits skip the research on competitive effects. It undermines one of their major against vouchers, that they harm public school pupils left behind because of a loss of funds. In heated debates like those over vouchers, solid empirical research remains an important guide. The McKay Scholarship Program is Florida Review, a good model for the program. It provides choices between public and private schools for parents for anyone who was assigned an individual education plan. The program is popular and growing with lots of private school options. It also pays enough to make the voucher worthwhile. Winter and Green 2011. McKay is a statewide program designed to prove parents of disabled students with the McKay provides scholarships. Parents of disabled students with the resources necessary to attend another public school or a private school if they so choose.
Yeah. That's time. Process.
So, for the voucher program that you want to implement, so like an expanded voucher program, right? Correct? So, what do you think the price range for this sort of program would be?
Price range, it depends on which private schools they plan to attend and which schools they plan to attend.
But for the funding of the total voucher program.
I would say a couple million.
Yeah, because we can reasonably assume each private school is like a couple tens of thousands each,
Yeah.
multiply that by all the people who want to go. So that's millions of dollars. So those are millions of dollars that we're spending on this voucher program instead of say the military or the other. I think it's 96% of students for DCLEs that aren't disabled. Is that correct?
Mhm.
So by all that money is going just towards that, and we need to take money from other parts of the economy and other parts of the government. Correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
So millions of dollars are being taken from other parts of the government and the other students of the nation to be put towards special education.
Which makes up only 4% of the students. Correct. Okay. Yeah. So.
I believe you talked about the McKay Scholarship Program at the end of your speech on page 8 by Wiersy Green, 2011. So the McKay program is a statewide program, and it's for vouchers for disabilities. How can you say that this system, like, would you plan to implement the exact system like the McKay program is, or would you like divert off of that?
I'll divert off of that.
Oh, so a different one.
So what about the McKay program is not satisfactory? Like what would you divert from?
Yeah.
Well,
What
it
would
won't-
you change?
It won't be the exact same,
Uh-huh.
but it will have a lot of the rules from the McKay Scholarship.
Okay. So it'd have a lot of the, so it'd have some of the same rules, just like different offset of,
Yeah.
like a branch of. Okay.
And you don't have any ideas of any specific things that you would change?
Not anything specific.
specific.
Just
Okay.
um,
Yeah, we don't have more
yeah,
questions. Thank you.
You're set for that. Which probably only 2 minutes anyway.
How much time do we use?
Yeah, like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Alright.
I don't know.
I'm ready now. I'm gonna start on the spending disadvantage. The one NC military shell trade-off, or shell military trade-off. And then, so one off, and then inherency, solvency, poverty, and human rights. Should I go? Okay. Military spending increasing now. New money will pay for war against ISIS and missile defense in South Korea. Per 2017. The spending deal struck by congressional negotiators Sunday includes an additional $15 billion in military funding. The additional Pentagon funding adds to the $578 billion in defense spending included in the omnibus bill, and provides $151 million for Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, the missile defense system being deployed to South Korea. The Trump administration plans to ask for an extra $54 billion in military spending above the budget caps, while cutting the same amount for domestic spending. Next, there's a direct trade-off between military and education spending. Mullen and Taken, 2016. Heavy investment from the federal government in the military has deprived the nation's schools, robbing them of much-needed improvements in poor infrastructure. With historical context involving governmental military investments and real cost to public schools, Heinz's 2011 analysis is directed at the financial investment in the military since the 9/11 terror attacks and the U.S. wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Total military assets rose to $1,245 billion, or $1.2 trillion, by the end of 2009. Next, ISIS wants to launch a major terrorist attack on the United States. Rodriguez, 2016. The Islamic State has every intention of attacking America on its home soil. The Islamic State has billions of dollars in the bank, so they can call on Pakistan to purchase a nuclear device. Reasonable people may discount the above as trash talk meant to cause panic or impress recruits. However, many would have reacted similarly if 15 years earlier one had described a scenario in which 19 terrorists used several passenger jets as missiles to bring down emblematic high-rises and attack the Pentagon. By midday, September 11, 2001, what seemed far-fetched to many reasonable minds had become a gruesome reality. Next, inherency. The Supreme Court has just raised the bar for the quality of education that the students with disabilities deserve nationwide. Brown and Marymount, 2017. The Supreme Court unanimously raised the bar for the educational benefits owed to millions of children with disabilities in one of the most significant special education cases to reach the High Court in decades. The Supreme Court said that a child's educational program must be appropriately ambitious in the light of circumstances, and that every child should have the chance to meet challenging objectives, even if the child is not fully integrated into regular classrooms. The justices sent a strong, clear message with their unanimous decision. For children with disabilities, receiving instruction that aims so low would be tantamount to sitting idly, waiting the time when they were old enough to drop out. The Supreme Court's decision more clearly defines a uniform nationwide standard for the more than 6 million children with disabilities. The ruling would broadly shift the balance of power between families and school officials, pushing schools to set more ambitious goals tailored more carefully to each student's particular needs. Next, Trump pushing vouchers for students with disabilities now. Quinlan, 2017. Trump plans to promote the expansion of private school vouchers. Florida's tax credit, McKay Scholarship Program, started under former Governor Jeb Bush, Republican, provides vouchers for students with disabilities to attend schools like St. Andrews, the site of Trump's visit. During his campaign, President Trump promoted the expansion of voucher programs using federal dollars. Next, solvency. School districts are better equipped to educate students with disabilities. Saylor and Stowe, 2003. There is the issue of critical mass. School districts with 28 years of experience in providing educational services and supports students with disabilities have acquired and maintained an infrastructure for this specialized support. This infrastructure may particularly reflect specialized administration personnel, teachers, highly specialized speech, and other therapists, specialized adaptive equipment such as braille writers, adaptive computers, occupational therapy, wheelchairs, etc. Next, private schools have a mixed record of providing additional resources for special education. St. Hensel 2010. There unquestionably are a number of excellent private schools in each state that specialize in the education of children with disabilities and offer individualized instruction well suited to meet the needs of these students. There is evidence to suggest, however, that the majority of children accepting special needs vouchers attend private schools with little or no differentiated programming. One study in Florida found that 77% of schools accepting McKay students provided no special program of any kind for disabled students. One Florida official commented that this did not present a problem because about 85% of McKay voucher recipients have only a mild learning disorder, which may simply require a small learning environment. Next, vouchers provide a school with a financial incentive to not diagnose students as disabled, which is agreed in 2011. Under certain reasonable assumptions, special education vouchers will make a school less likely to identify a child as disabled. The predictions depend primarily on the school's response to the existence of a financial incentive to diagnose students as disabled, evidence for which has been found in prior empirical research. We provide some evidence of a negative relationship between the amount of competition that a public school faces from Florida's special education voucher program and the likelihood that a child is identified as having a specific learning disability, SLD. Next, poverty advantage. Alternative causes. Other reasons why the disabled end up in poverty, Fessler 2015. Employers are scared to hire us, says Eagle, because they don't know what kind of accommodations we require. And if they don't meet what we consider to be reasonable accommodations, they're afraid we'll sue them. A lack of accessible transportation is one big problem for disabled individuals trying to go to work or go to school. He says another obstacle to employment is that if recipients of federal disability payments save more than $2,000, they risk losing their benefits, including medical care. Next, human rights advantage. Education is not a human right. Here's the deal. We Americans have the right to exactly three things: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You don't have a right to commodities within that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Just think of Pandora's box, if you were. After all, everyone's idea of happiness would be different. Is it really fairly or feasible to guarantee the happiness of some through things like free college while sticking everyone else with the bill? Indeed, obtaining a set of skills needed to operate a successful individual is something that, in a civil, moral society, we should care about providing to our children, but it still doesn't make it right, and it certainly doesn't make it something the federal government is supposed to provide. I apologize, I forgot the author, Ramirez, 2015. Next, vouchers will increase the stigma of disability, Hensel 2010. If these students depart public schools in significant numbers, it will negatively impact the normalization of disability in education and American society more generally. Children with severe disabilities are more likely to require self-contained classrooms to meet their educational needs. As in the past, the identification of disability becomes tied to children who are separate and apart from the general school population, causing the stigma of disability to potentially rise. Next, existing programs don't provide legal protections for students with disabilities, Hensel 2010. Private schools can lawfully establish selective admissions criteria and exclude students with disabilities where their programs are not designed to meet those needs or where students cannot be accommodated with minor adjustments. They are not obligated to provide a meaningful education and cannot legally be held accountable when a student makes no academic progress. In the absence of discernible benchmarks of progress and clearly identified legal rights, there is a heightened chance that these children will face intentional discrimination or seemingly denied indifference.
Okay. So what do you expect to do about the poverty rate, the people in